welcome back to the Asia Pacific Finals for Stage 1 of 2020. We are kicking it off with a bang. It is Championship Sunday, and I'm here with my favorite people in the whole wild world, Xenox and Guz. I'm honestly out of breath. I feel like I've just been running a marathon, and there's still a whole long stretch of track in front of us. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good, man. I'm excited. Final day. We've obviously already had an amazing APAC playoff run. Day 1, day 2, and it's only going to get better for day 3.
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite as hyped as you, Dev, just yet. You were very excited during the little bumper there, but no, today's going to be a really good day. A culmination of the last few days' work really coming into fruition, and we have some really exciting matches to close out the league.
And we've already had a whole bunch of exciting matches so far. The Asia Pacific League, of course, we're made up of North APAC, South APAC, and South Asia, and we've had teams from all of those subdivisions come together here in this monstrous bracket. As you can see, we've almost filled out all of those matches. Just 2 left to go, and of course, that stage championship match. But Guz, I want to hear, what are the upsets that we've seen so far? What do we expect, and what has happened as a result?
Yeah, there's been a few unexpected results in this bracket. I think probably the first one that stands out would be Kira from South Asia taking down Cyclops from APAC North in the best of 1. That was a really strong performance from them. Unfortunately, their run, of course, did end later along the line against 7th Heaven. Another potential upset that you could look at is probably the Chiefs from APAC South. They bombed out of the playoffs. They failed to win a single map, and that's a really disappointing result for the team from Down Under.
Xenox, anything you wanted to note on this bracket so far?
Yeah, probably the only thing would have been the Knights Guts result. What was that, like 7-1 or something ridiculous? Or I don't think anyone would have expected that, even though if it was a best of 1. Outside of that, though, and obviously the matches that Guz touched on, I think it's actually gone pretty much to script so far. The only one, of course, the only massive one was Kira knocking off Cyclops, but they've been able to run the gauntlet. They're in that 4th place fight now, in that lower bracket final, waiting for the upper bracket final result. So they've gone and knocked off Chief 7-5, 7-5, which, you know, from what I heard, we didn't really get to see too much of that, but it was close to going into OT in those matches. So Chiefs did put up a bit of a fight there. And then, of course, we had the Guts Gaming and Cyclops match, which went the distance. And as we closed off the show yesterday, Cyclops ended up just demolishing 7th Heaven, dismantling them, pulling them apart, however you want to say it. It wasn't even close. And now they're ready and waiting for today.
Oh, they certainly are, and so let's turn our attention to what we have today. Of course, 3 massive best-of-3 series. First of all, we've got a North-South APAC clash with actually a lot of Australian players on both sides. FNATIC take on the Knights in that upper bracket final. Following that, we will have the stage champion match. That will crown the best team in APAC, and of course, our stage 1 champion, Cloud9 from Korea and Elevate from Thailand. That's going to be a massive one. Of course, at the end of the day as well, the loser of that first game, FNATIC Knights, will go and play Cyclops for 4th place overall in APAC. Guz, what are you feeling here? I think every one of these matches has so much merit, but is there any one particular you're looking forward to?
I think it's way too difficult to pick one match that's most exciting. I think the best part about today is the overarching storyline of which division is better. Is it North or is it South? And that is the question that was posed at the start of the stage. It's the question that people have been asking throughout the entirety of the stage, and we finally will get an answer by the end of today.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not be more excited. Xenox, are you feeling any particular game for today?
All of them? I mean, am I allowed to say all of them? Definitely the first 2, of course, are going to be the big ones to watch. Upper bracket final, along with the stage champion. And even then, the last one, the battle for 4th place, extra SI points, the North versus South battle, or at least it could be, is going to be intriguing to watch that too. And as Guz said, I think storylining here is going to be the storyline for the day, APAC versus South. North versus South. But the big thing was, of course, we had the match last night that kind of started that storyline, Cyclops and 7th Heaven. And with 7th Heaven getting dumped out, right now as it stands, 3 North teams, 2 South teams remain. And we'll see by the end of the day which region will reign supreme.
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad you mentioned the SI points. These teams are fighting over points to go to the 6th Invitational next year for 2022, but also a massive pool of cash, which has been redistributed from what would have been the Stage 1 Major. But just to bring it all in, let's talk about our first game of today. FNATIC and the Knights. What an old rivalry we have here, Guz.
Yeah, I mean, this one dates back all the way back to the old Pro League format that we used to have within ANZ, Australia and New Zealand, where these teams battled it out for supremacy at the sub-region at the time. Since then, of course, a lot has changed. FNATIC moved over to APAC North. More recently as well, the team relocated over towards Perth. And to be honest, FNATIC at least have been showing signs of improvement. Knights on the other side, they showed improvements probably later last year, but 2021 has been a little bit of a rocky start for them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about FNATIC then for a minute. Xenox, this is a roster that has been in Rainbow Six for quite some time, obviously famously Australian. They have had a roster change, though, bring on the Frenchman of Alfama. What have we seen this year? I feel like it has been a lot better than we expected from them, Xenox.
Yeah, look, as I said yesterday, in some things, I'm not always the most qualified person to answer, and FNATIC's probably one of those, being more so from the South region. But what I do sort of want to touch on has been their run in the APAC playoffs, where I think they've almost subsided their expectations coming into it. They weren't regarded as the best team from APAC North. They probably didn't have many fancies to win, this third place in the playoffs. And they even started off quite shaky against the Chiefs on Cafe on day number 1. 8-7, could have easily lost that one, and then they would have been locked down to that lower bracket. But since then, they dominated against Kira Esports as expected. So we haven't probably even got all the answers that we would like coming into an upper bracket final. And I do hope that this best of 3 will give us a lot more answers.
Yeah, well, Guz, I want to see if you can theory craft a little bit. Do you think these guys have what it takes to take third overall place in APAC?
I think the possibility is there. It's going to be up to some of the bigger names to step up that, again, have been playing quite well in the playoffs, as Xenox alluded to. Names that come to mind, probably Lusty. He's currently top rated, going 26 and 14. He's been putting in a massive effort. And even Stiggs as well has found some really, really good form in the back end of stage 1 leading into the playoffs, and of course inclusive of that playoffs bracket. 24 and 15. He's been doing a lot of work for this team as well and having a significant impact. So in terms of names, those are probably the 2 that I'm looking at to step up, and if they do, FNATIC are a really good shot at winning this game.
Yeah, but of course they have to get through their old rivals of the Knights, coming from South APAC and of course OCN. And you might actually see this a bit of a different in the roster for what's happening today. Picnic, who is their coach for this roster, he is stepping in for Juicy. Unfortunately, just unforeseen circumstances. Right out of this morning, he's had to jump in there. But Xenox, just taking a step back and talking about the Knights for a moment. These guys have looked really, really good as arguably the best team in Oceania.
Yeah, they have, but you say arguably for a reason. They didn't even win the OCN championship. That went to the Chiefs. They lost that one convincingly, and as you said, Picnic comes in, Juicy goes out, so that's a big hit to the roster as well. And then you look at their run so far through the bracket, it actually kind of mirrors FNATIC so far. They had a tough one against Mercenaries in the opening match on day 1, 7-5 on Coastline, but then they breezed through Guts in the similar way that FNATIC breezed through Kira Esports. So again, we probably don't have the answers we would like coming into this upper bracket final, but I will say they're in a worse position due to the roster change, Juicy going out, Picnic coming in. It's really hard to see them being able to play at their absolute best peak Knights performance when they've had that change. And as you said, there's some question marks. OCN, they lost that to the Chiefs. Are they really at their best right now? Probably not.
It's a really tough pill to swallow there for Knights. They were close to getting first place in APAC South, but they didn't. And now they're going to have to play with their coach subbing in. But let's talk map veto. Best of 3 series we have for us today. And both of these teams are going to be vying to get their best maps through that veto. Are you seeing anything in particular, guys? I know you've run the numbers.
Well, I can look at the veto now, Dev, so let's not worry about what could have been, and we'll just look at the now. Coastline, picked out there by the Knights, and for the most part, that's been an okay map for them, 5 and 3 on the record for them. Looking across at FNATIC's pick in Villa, of course, the second map in the series. Don't have as much intel on them for that map, in fact. So based on the history that we have here, which is the last couple of years, they've played it twice, 1 and 1. And they've actually banned it 13 times. It is their most banned map. So FNATIC clearly have been hiding something there. And then, of course, the decider will be Cafe. Pretty neutral territory. In fact, probably actually leaning a little bit more into FNATIC. Knights, rather. Leaning a little bit more into the Knights, who have a slightly better win record there.
Xenox, anything you're looking to take away from that?
Yeah, look, the one thing I will say is the Coastline pick's a little interesting because Mercenaries actually did a decent job on Coastline against Knights. Knights didn't look all that convincing. It was 7-5. That was actually played off stream. So for those who maybe feel like they missed that one, there's the reason why. But the big one is the fact that it's Cafe as the decider. That is actually really big because as we saw in day number 1, Chiefs took FNATIC all the way to the 15th round on Cafe. So there maybe is a bit of vulnerability there from FNATIC's side. If Knights can win their Coastline, they don't really need to then win Villa. Then we head over to Cafe. So I think both teams will be happy with their respective picks. And I think Knights will maybe be happy that they've got Cafe as the decider.
So all in all, pretty balanced veto between these teams, it seems. But of course, I think if we start to dig deeper into Coastline, which has been picked by the Knights, there are some potential weaknesses there. You've already mentioned their game against Mercenaries, which was very close. And also, FNATIC have played that map in the past a bit. They actually beat Cyclops on it last year as well, which is a very formidable team. What's funny is the second map as well. FNATIC also beat Cyclops on Villa during the season just past. Oh, I don't know about you guys. I'm starting to feel a little bit scared for the Knights here. They're playing with the coach subbing in, and they're playing again on 2 maps that FNATIC have had recent big results over big teams. Do we feel like maybe FNATIC is going to run away with this, guys?
I think so. When you look at just the fact that there's a sub, I mean, that obviously just throws any plan out of the window almost, depending on what role Juicy would have had on that team. I guess the shining light maybe for the Knights is it's important to remember that in the Oceanic Finals, Picnic actually did sub into that game as well. And the Knights beat Wildcard, who at the time was still at full strength, 2-1. So there's at least something to salvage there, maybe an inkling of hope. That said, in that match, Picnic did not perform great. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to throw him under the bus a little bit here. In that series, across 3 maps, he only went 11 and 24. So not the best stats there. But as long as he's contributing towards the team, I'm sure he can have an impact. I mean, I have played with and against him in the late night ranked solo queue dream at like 2 or 3 a.m. and the man can do a little bit of work at times. So he's not going to be a complete bot in the server.
Xenox, thoughts? Can FNATIC take this into? Do Knights even stand a chance?
Coming into this series originally, and I kind of hate saying this, but with Juicy in the lineup, I would have predicted Knights. I actually would have gone Knights Pro 2-1. Now I'm definitely changing my thoughts on this almost all the way to say like a FNATIC 2-0. The big one comes down to Coastline, and I know it's kind of sitting on the fence, but if Coastline does go the way of Knights, I can maybe still see them pinching it 2-1 over on Cafe afterwards. But if they do lose out Coastline, I think that we'll see a 2-0 to FNATIC. I think they'll then be able to take Villa straight afterwards. So look, Knights definitely come into this a little bit undermanned, but as Gus said, Picnic is not exactly, it's not like I'm feeling it. Picnic is a much better player. Picnic will be fine. And I think for the Knights, they've got so many good players on the roster outside of just Juicy, and the other 4 will be able to stand up. And it'll still be a really, really good upper bracket final, and FNATIC still have to play at their best to win this.
They certainly do. There's nearly $10,000 USD prize difference between the first and second place out of this game. And of course, also a chunk of 6 invitational points. So these guys are fighting for everything. Can FNATIC get it done in 2 and have some revenge over their former Oceanic brothers? Or can Knights get it done with a sub? Find out right now. Casting it is Raven and Rob J. Monday. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you very much, Dev, and I'm sure we will enjoy this one because, I mean, it has been forecast to be quite the matchup, Raven. Does the sub diminish that at all?
Look, I think it does change things a bit, but it's always hard to say with a sub. Sometimes it can go one of 2 ways. Sometimes it really does affect how the team plays. But sometimes we've seen coaches jump in particular, and it changes things for the better. So you never know. Picnic has won a championship on the Knights roster as a player, so it may happen.
Well, you cannot discount that Picnic may still be able to pull something out of the hat, but it definitely feels a weaker Knights are coming into this one against FNATIC. It's the upper bracket final. Whoever wins this solidifies 3rd place overall in the playoffs. The loser, however, will have to go down and face Cyclops, which, I mean, dare I say, is a scary prospect as it is, but oh, how the Titans can fall, that is for sure. We are going to be straight into the ban phase here. FNATIC with a Ying ban. So that's the first one to kick us off. I don't mind that.
Yeah, look, I like that. We've definitely seen some Ying play come out of Knights. I think in particular on Oregon, it's one map they have leaned into that Ying quite a lot. So I don't mind that, but this is the disclaimer we're going to have, at least while watching this first map, Manic, is how are the Knights going to change their playstyle to suit the fact they have Picnic subbing in? Because sometimes it's not good to just go 1-for-1 with what you normally do and have the sub try fill the role that they're replacing. Sometimes it's good to just loosen up a bit and play a little different, a little unpredictable. So it really could work in the Knights' favor in that regard. The other thing that destabilizes, of course, FNATIC would have been doing VOD reviews and prep based on the way Knights play with their normal roster. Again, if Picnic isn't just straight up filling a role, it really might throw FNATIC completely off. You just don't know.
I guess the one thing we can say that might give it a little bit of credit is we're going to find out. That's just as it is. As we start this best of 3, there's a little bit of a doubt in the mind for Knights. We've obviously told the story that it is still possible. Picnic is still a very good player and can still hold his own. Coming up against a FNATIC that have found some really great form toward the end of their season, it does start to worry me a little bit. I mean, coming into the playoffs, they 7-0'd T1, they 7-1'd Talon. And from there, I mean, if you look back, FNATIC haven't lost a game in 4 series. So, granted, they're all best of ones. That really does lean heavily into them in form. And in doing so, it is going to be concerning. But let's not hold reservations for too much longer. Let's just get into it.
Yeah, and as we get into it, I just want to bring up another little storyline for everybody to enjoy here. The team that Stigs came from before he joined FNATIC was the Knights. This is his old roster. He hasn't had a chance to actually play against them, nor have they had the opportunity to punish him for leaving, if you want to call it that. So I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting little experience for both rosters in this occasion. Probably more so Stigs, because being the departee, it does add that little extra spice to the game. Can affect, how you perform. Some players will totally rise to that occasion. Some players maybe feel the pressure, at least in that first map. But that's the beauty. It's a best of 3. Going to have a good opportunity to settle in and get comfortable.
I think it's the last time these two teams played off, as Guz was referencing, it was 15 months ago in the old Pro League format where FNATIC were able to 7-3 them on both occasions. So, I think every storyline we can tell, the fact Stigs has swapped rosters, that may just go out the window at this point. That's the opening that FNATIC would have been hoping for. Tex finding the kill onto Sage, who has been actually quite a prominent player for Knights, all things considered, throughout their first season in APAC South. And now that sets up FNATIC quite well on this defense.
Importantly, too, Sage is actually the best entry player statistically for the Knights in APAC South, going at +5. So to lose this opening duel, that's look a big dub there for Tex. FNATIC on a great start here. Now the Knights need to try and steady the ship. They've already pushed in through this top floor, looking to get this vertical control. But it's taking quite a bit of time, Manic. Can't help but notice almost half the round gone already.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely awkward for Knights should they continue to stall out. We saw this in the match yesterday between Guts and CAG. Guts just not able to find the openings that they needed, and it kind of stalled them out for far too long. A lot of the end of the rounds just were a little bit too easy for that defensive side. So Knights, as we start to look at them as an overall perspective, my goodness, how close is that player coming from security? It's Picnic, and no one's there to retrade.
I mean, Josh was there, but it's always going to be tough. And again, just this setup is beautiful, but so is the swing from Dino. Done a great job to take out Alfama. That's going to isolate Lusty. He's got 2 to deal with, and Josh is going to deal with him. Bring it to be a 3v3 now, Manic. The Knights might have given themselves this opportunity to get back into the round.
For all we were saying, no time. They certainly still have time. They've got 40 seconds, in fact, to start to make more of an ideal approach. Looks like FNATIC still have vertical control there. Whatever that is up in billiards is going to cause all sorts of issues here, Raven.
It really is. But Hayward's just going to go deep, and that's it's not going to work out. Stigs, that player you talked about with that vertical control, he just makes light work of it. Josh replaces Manic. He's going to try and stick this plant, but Dino from Courtyard, he's got the cover.
Oh, it just goes down in time. Dino, he's had a pretty decent APAC South performance, but this is going to have to really be a phenomenal 1 versus 3 clutch. He takes the first step in doing so, holds the line, peeking one at a time. Dino! In a 1 versus 3 clutch comes up massively for the Knights, and that is a much needed sigh of relief.
Ice in the veins, tell you what. Dino, that was a fantastic 1v3 clutch, but you got to put props down to Josh sticking the plant. He got rushed by 2 players, and I reckon it was about 0.5 of a second after he confirmed that plant that he was fragged out. If that didn't happen, it definitely would have gone in favor of FNATIC. So really well played from the Knights to recover from that. I think that's a really important start for them to get that first run on the board.
Goodness me. That's not what you want to be seeing at all. It is concerning to say the very least for FNATIC, as that will certainly put some fuel to the fire that is the Knights that have been burning bright all season long. You don't want them seeing form at the very end of the playoffs. And it may just be the opportunity that they're looking for. I mean, you know, just touching on Dino very quickly, that's a 4K in the round with a 1 versus 3 clutch. Now, Dino in previous seasons, you know, you look back to OCN, 6 Masters, wasn't what we would particularly say a standout player for Knights, as he is one of the more vocal players. He's probably, I would suggest, the leader on the team. But this season, he has just been a completely different beast, and it is really something that's, I think, highlighted in this playoff could be a major concern for FNATIC if he gets on a roll.
I have to agree with you there, Rob. Honestly, Dino has been a great player for the Knights this stage. It's true, you know, he was playing more hard support roles. Definitely saw him playing a lot of Hibana in previous stages, I believe, and didn't feel like he was particularly well utilized. But it's been great in stage 1. Now, yes, you just saw that. Tex absolutely demolished on that spawn pick. It must have been by Sage, and that's another really good start for the Knights. Maybe they're starting to build some momentum.
Oh, look at this peek coming from the back of Sunrise there, the window. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for FNATIC. Love the combination of Mag on the pulse, delivering the intel to Stigs and the swing. It's all too easy. And a very prompt trade is exactly what is really needed in this occasion. But Sage, man, my goodness, unrelenting so far. That's 2 kills in this round alone, one of which being the opening.
I think what's so important too is it really looks like the Knights, they're not feeling the intimidation. They've started pretty confidently. Sure, round 1 was a little shaky, but this is great. They've really gotten in. Sage getting those 2 picks, really big. Josh backs it up for another. This is FNATIC falling to pieces. Only 2 players remaining. And the Knights are going to have to be feeling this form right now.
I like this from Alfama. Going for a bit of a risky play, see what he can get given. He's going to go for the deep run out, and unfortunately, with the new timer, it doesn't really allow those kind of plays. Alerted to the position now. Stigs has a lot to do. The issue is always going to surround how much time Knights have left for themselves to really make this work. Stigs needs to take some isolated one-on-ones here. As he does so, overexposes himself to the double window, trying to peek through to Aquarium. You need to take risks in a position like this, and unfortunately, they do not pay off. Knights, that's a very convincing round with 4 players still alive.
Yeah, look, seriously great to see that from the Knights. Again, not looking to feel affected at this stage by Picnic in the roster, but it is what it is. 2-0 up on Coastline here on the attack. Is a good start. FNATIC, you know, they've also been putting up some solid form. The first round was great from them, just letting it slip by though. That one, not so great.
Maybe not so much. See a Picnic in a hot second. Really interested right now. I think one of the big points that we will probably, that I need to highlight, I think that needs to be said. I need to highlight the fact that when you look at the rosters in pretty much the entirety of APAC, right? You have one player that is just incredibly nutty on you know, in the kill department. For Elevate, it's Napew. You know, you look at the Chiefs, it's Worthy. For Cloud9, it's Envy. For Cyclops, you know, you're probably looking more to Black Ray. And one thing that's really scary about the Knights is there's not one player that you look to as the shining light in terms of the frag department. They are all incredibly consistent. And I think when you look at the fact that Picnic has swapped in for Juicy, maybe in seasons past I would have said, oh, Juicy's a huge player, this is really concerning, you know, it's always going to be that talking point. But one thing that Knights have done incredibly well this season is hold their own in all fronts. Every player has had their impact when it's needed, and they're also not lacking. It's just insane to see. I mean, like, I will give you the stat right now. There is currently no one from Pittsburgh Knights in the regular season, in 7 full games of APAC South with incredibly competitive teams, that have gone negative in their kill department. I don't know how many teams I can say that for outside of Elevate, but that is just incredible. That is the kind of performance that will net you a victory against a team like FNATIC. So it is a scary prospect when all you're doing is swapping Juicy out for Picnic, who, you know, yes, Juicy is an unbelievable player, but when the rest of your team is firing on all cylinders, it's just not as hard to replace that fragger, you know?
Yeah, look, and to piggyback off that, you want to talk about how even the spread is with Pittsburgh Knights. Again, looking at the regular season stats, top player statistically by rating is Sage at 1.03. Lowest rated player by rating is Hayward, but it's only 0.99. Literally 0.04 separates all 5 of them. That is incredibly consistent and close. Like, normally you don't see that kind of levelness between a team. Just to give a point of reference, for example, I'm scrolling through here. Let's use Elevate. You've got Napew out at 1.22 as their highest rated player, and then Angry X down at 1.03. Another example would be Qconfirm. They've got Healthcare at 1.28. Hajime lowest rated 0.79. You know, that's so much more normal that you see in statistics, that there is this separation between the roster, because you do have a player popping off having a great season. Some players, usually the support ones, you know, they stick with that low rating, but it's just not like that with the Knights. They all put in pretty evenly. They're all quite consistent. They can all frag out. It's pretty scary when they are up and firing.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, 0.4 of a difference in rating between the entire team, Raven. That, for me, I don't think I've ever really seen that. You know, and I'm sure I'll go through the stats once we hit a break later on, and maybe re-look at this. But seriously, it is a scary prospect. But just to, you know, counterpoint this, as we are looking at the best of 3 overall, FNATIC are one of those teams that have been known, maybe a little bit in 2020, to be a little bit under the mark in terms of their performances. But there's no doubting, coming into 2021, things have changed for them. And I've really, you know, I made the point at the start of the match, is that FNATIC are hitting form right now, and they are starting to look better. Look, the last 4 best of ones that they have played, you know, Talon and T1, maybe not what you would consider to be the best that APAC have to offer. Kira, for example, a South Asian team who, in their own right, beat CAG. They pushed them aside 7-2. So there is an element to this right now, where we've been sitting here in the pre-show talking about Knights and talking about the issue that Picnic is going to have in this best of 3. But at the same time, it can easily be swapped around for the other side for FNATIC. The only team they've really played that I would consider on level with them is Chiefs, and that was a 7-8 victory, and it was close at that, Raven. That was the very first game of our playoffs campaign. Yeah. And even then, it just wasn't as convincing as what we would have liked from FNATIC. So this is really their proving ground.
It really is. Speaking of that Chiefs game, you know, that's one of those ones that you would really wish could have been a VO3, but look, it is what it is. They've made it through here. FNATIC have a point to prove. You talked about their year last year. I think for them, it was a really tough year, just mentally. They were prepared to move to Japan. They joined APAC North. They couldn't quite get there because of the pandemic, very obvious reasons. And it just felt like there was just so much frustration baked into the year for them. So to come into 2021, they've brought on Alfama. It's a refreshing lineup for them. You've seen it throughout the stage. They have just grown and gotten stronger and stronger. We're starting to see some of that old FNATIC that we loved to have seen. You're right. This is their chance to book that in, to get third in the stage 1 of APAC playoffs would be a big feat for them after what they've been through.
And of course, when we look at the bracket as it is, obviously we have stage 1 champions, which will be decided after this matchup between Elevate and Cloud9. But for all intents and purposes, FNATIC, if they're able to win this, will come out the victor of the playoffs, if that makes sense. Because that next match is technically one that sits on its own. Neither Elevate nor C9 have had to play any of these other teams in this playoff. So most definitely, it would be something that FNATIC could hold true, hold high, and be, I would say, decently impressed by. But we're getting back into it. Appreciate the patience, ladies and gents. And we are really starting to tell that story of, the inconsistencies for FNATIC throughout 2020, the rise to form, if you will, toward the end of this stage 1. But so too, Knights have really risen to their own form in APAC South and also in OCN. So it's a beautiful story no matter which way you look at it. But FNATIC, they are definitely going to need to turn those back burners on. That pilot light is lit. Just need to see it's need to see a little bit of fuel added.
Loving this absolute stalemate right here. Stiggs is in a very tough position. So many angles watched for his rotate out, but he actually does manage to make it out. There are about 3 Knights players that could have shut him down. Didn't happen. Mag was there to back up his jump in, but they progress. Now, site is, of course, Kitchen. Haven't seen this yet from FNATIC, but it looks like a very spread, very fluid kind of setup. But what's important here is that the Knights have taken vertical control and they've taken the opening picks. Stiggs answers back, though.
Yeah, this is really nice from Stiggs. That's 2 rounds in a row that he has replied to the opening pick from Knights. And funnily enough, both of those rounds, it has been Dino who he's found. So you could definitely be thanking Stiggs if you're a FNATIC fan right now. Both rounds, evening out the odds. There's still a lot more to do in terms of that department for FNATIC, though, as Knights have slowly but surely started to extend their reach over Coastline.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Absolutely. And now seeing that they have some vertical control, also very critical. Now Mag is dancing with fire here. Concussed twice on White Stairs as a player in Courtyard to potentially cut him off. It's Hayward playing patient, but Mag is going to dip down through security. It's going in towards another Knights player in Blue Bar, but this could be very critical if they aren't able... Oh my god, Hayward and Stiggs right next to each other, and Hayward catches him off guard. That could have been big for Stiggs if he found that pick.
Yeah, it's really awkward. Hayward still not knowing where Mag in fact was. Mag has rotated since through to Blue Bar to find a bit of a flank, and that is just really nice from Knights to respond in kind. Tex, it's your turn to step up for FNATIC now. Been unbelievable so far in the playoffs, and that could have been a first free kill, but unfortunately, he has lost that opportunity, and now he's got the opportunity to jump into Courtyard. Right now, that's unbelievable from Tex. He's denied at least Picnic finding the trade, but he cannot deny the plant. That was awfully close to Tex confirming that. But it's not to be, and Knights go up 3-0 here at the start of Coastline.
That's, look, I'm really glad you said it out loud. 3-0 up with Picnic subbing in. Look, I don't want to rag on Picnic too much, but it's a sub player for a pretty big game. You would think this has an effect on potentially the mindset or the comms coordination, regardless of the Knights. But the fact is they're actually doing really well on attack on Coastline. It's a great start from them. And if I'm FNATIC, this is a little bit concerning. I mean, there's still opportunities to bring this back. Coastline can certainly swing in the favor of attackers. But they're going to keep this at bay here. The momentum is really mounting on the Knights side.
It can very quickly just, you can lose control of a game in the blink of an eye. Now, I mean, probably the best point to make would have been that first matchup we saw yesterday, Raven, on Coastline, in fact. You know, Cyclops, they looked so strong. They went up 5-1 in the first half on their attacking side, only to be 6-0'd when they swapped sides. And the thing that is just so bizarre to me about that. Like, obviously a 6-0 is an incredible effort from Guts. That is ridiculous. There's not many times you will ever see that. But in APAC South, we've seen Coastline be more favored on the defensive side. It's just insane to have seen so far in the playoffs for APAC overall, where we've got, you know, South Asia and then the combination of APAC North and APAC South, it just be so heavily attacker-sided. And of course, that's what we expected. But it really just has been the difference between day and night.
Worth noting too, in APAC North, that it's actually quite defender-sided that it's been in Stage 1 regular season. 62% defense win rate. Quite solid, to be honest. So you could say this is definitely against the grain, but these two playstyles are probably a little bit different than you'd say the overall is for APAC North, or for, APAC North, but we'll see what happens as we progress through the rest of this half and, of course, into the second half. Now, the Knights, first minute, they've taken some pretty good positions. Mag, fairly isolated in office, though. Looks like he wants to try get back to Blue Bar. And Lusty now there for support. So Josh potentially could have capitalized on that, but not to be.
And it's one thing that you can praise Knights for, at least for doing so far. It's not like they're going out of their way and putting themselves in danger. More often than not, they've been finding these opening picks, and Stigs has been finding a trade in a completely different part of the map. Now, this is a little bit different from what we saw FNATIC in the first round that they played on that bar defense. It's looking a lot more turtled. You've only got one player at the moment, two extending with Lusty just in kitchen, Tex all the way out in toilets. So Knights just need to be cautious right now. Still not finding a pick. Doesn't bow favorably as this time starts to continue to be waste. And, oh, Dino fortunate to get away with that fight. Tex coming out the better on that occasion.
I feel like the Knights have just opted to go direct, and here they are. They're going in for this plant. A bit of a bait, it looks like. First Smoke Babe's going to come out. Not quite sticking to plant yet is Hayward, but Tex has finally found that opening pick to Dino. Now, Dino was the one that clutched it out for Knights in round 1 on this site post-plant.
And you may be asking, why did Hayward not try to stick it behind the bar just then? The real clear reason was, oh my goodness, what is this from Hayward? He just goes deep into Sunrise, not traded out yet. Now he's in such an awkward place. Do they have the cover that they need? Is he going to be able to swing and find another kill? Farmer, incredible play from him. And now Josh, with such little time, you may just be stat padding here because I don't know whether FNATIC are going to give you the opportunity to. He is clearing this out left, right, and center. There's a player above Alfama low on the site. If he can find this kill, it may be on, but just with too little time remaining, FNATIC, they hold on by the skin of their teeth, and that is so scary.
That was scary. It's like Josh just turned on training grounds for the last 10 seconds. Unbelievable, but well played from FNATIC to have retaken that vertical, or to held the vertical at the end there. Was always going to be tough for Josh. He could have tried to stick the plant, but would have been a very easy counter for FNATIC. But credit to FNATIC, they really stood up. They stopped that real aggressive play from Hayward. I like the decision from Hayward, but at the end of the day, the Knights didn't quite react to back him up. They didn't trade out those positions through Sunrise to try and actually gain that control, and that's where it really fell apart for them. But some really good decision-making from both parties here, and it's good to see FNATIC get their first run on the board.
Now, one thing I was touching on just then was Hayward obviously trying to go for that plant behind blue, and I was starting to preface a bit of a point there before he just went nuclear and decided to jump through a rotate hole. But one of the main reasons we saw Hayward be denied that plant at the back of blue was Dino was the person holding lobby. So as long as you can hold lobby, you have somewhat of an opportunity to go for the plant behind blue bar because you've got the cover of bar, and the only way you can get killed is from that double door there in courtyard. And the second Dino died, Knights had completely lost that control. And I think Hayward was just caught in two minds. I don't mind the intention because, in all honesty, Raven, if Alfama doesn't find that pick on the player coming from Cool Vibes' the single door, there is actually a really good chance that Knights are able to clear the site quite quickly and get somewhat of a safe plant down. So, you know, what could have been will now just have to be swept aside. And Josh, the big concerning part for me for FNATIC is Josh is feeling it right now, and he can really go off when it matters.
Yeah, look, I'm really glad you brought up Josh, because I feel like he is a player that often, he's like a quiet achiever. He somehow gets these incredible stats, but they're kind of performances that I feel like just don't often get discussed. You know, he's one of those players that doesn't hit the massive flashy plays that you'll see a lot of highlights of, but he does consistently perform for the Knights. So to see him up and about right now, I think is really important for them, because look, let's not beat around the bush. Picnic has struggled so far in the attack half. I think they are feeling the effects of not having Juicy. But at the same time, as a team, I feel like the Knights are doing a pretty decent job.
Definitely be said that if FNATIC can swing this back into a 3-3 half, all their efforts in the first half will pretty much go to waste. That is Knights I'm talking about. So they will ensure right now that the second attempt on Hookah does not go unanswered. And Lusty, speaking of unanswered, Josh, the killers come in. There's no trade there for Knights, and they continue to hold this very, very deep roam control from FNATIC all the way over in Pen. Knights haven't really been able to do anything about it just yet.
No, but there's some pretty deep positions held here by the Knights. So close is Picnic to finding this pick on the Tex. He's about 3 centimeters away from peeking into this line of sight here. Picnic seems pretty aware. Look, this is a great cutoff at 90. It means that these two players have to either take through luggage or come back through music. And that could be big, but Picnic misses that opportunity. Looks like he's going to swing onto Tex. Oh, he's not.
Or is he? What? I'm so confused as to what Picnic is looking to attempt here. Smoke doesn't cover him enough. That's so fortunate. A bit of a spray, a fortunate spray, that will give them an opportunity back into this round, Raven. Is it enough time, though?
Yeah, only 30 seconds. Great point. Not much time and not much control from the Knights. Stiggs capitalizes as Mag gets downed. This is going to be a tight little execute here, Manic.
Yeah, Picnic's been caught as well by the flank coming in from Lusty, and now it's all on a Sage who manages to find the opening pick, and now into a 1v1. Lusty can sit back, they can play for time here. The reinforced wall will give him protection. He's somewhat seen in that single door. Sage is still going to stick this. I really like this. He's given himself the best opportunity at winning this clutch. Lusty edging around the corner, bit by bit, clearing out any particular placing. Sage now just needs to hold on, can't play for time. He's going to need to win his one, and that he does. Swings through the rotate of the Cool Vibe stairs and puts Lusty to bed. My goodness. The Knights players are coming in massive when it counts.
They are. And I think that's what's really big about that round in particular. It's off the back of a pretty strong round of the double bars held by FNATIC. And also that round in particular, I felt like FNATIC played really well, some really good positioning. And they were trading it out with the Knights. You know, that always favors the defense, because at the end of the day, the clock is the 6th man for the defense. You can trade out, and if the attackers don't get a plant or the eliminations, well, then it's round over. But that was just big. Sage played it perfectly, sticking that plant, as you pointed out, Manic, and then just the great positioning at the back of the couches in Hookah. Love that from them. And it's just the Knights stepping up and answering these challenges from FNATIC.
It's insane. I feel like we really don't see it all that much. Where the diffuser is stuck at an early rate. You know, a lot of the times the attacking side will go to fake that diffuser, in which case, you know, Lusty's got one of two choices. With 20 seconds left, you either let the plant go down, in which case we just saw what happens when you do that. Sage is able to then have free reign over the control of Hookah, or you go in for the kill, in which case Sage could just jump off the diffuser, and then you're in a 1v1 with only a reinforced wall in between you, with a door open and 2 rotates open. It's a very dangerous place to be. I think Sage has played that with such calm thoughts and just composure overall. And now FNATIC are staring down the barrel at a 5-1 first half. They need that. In my opinion, they absolutely cannot afford to let this go past 4-2. They have to secure this last round.
Look, I really do agree. And I want to cast our minds back to yesterday. We saw Coastline, first map of the day played. Cyclops versus... my gosh, I'm going blank. Guts. Thank you so much. And look, it was a 5-1 advantage to Cyclops. They actually ultimately lost that 7-5. So we see that happen. It was attacker-sided as well, so very reminiscent of this game. But at the end of the day, you never want to look at that scoreline. There is nothing worse than seeing that and being like, man, we are down 4 rounds and the other team is 2 away from taking the map. That is a struggle. So certainly, if FNATIC can get this, they really do still have a shot. 2-4 is not that bad of a half.
Okay, not to bring up old wounds here, Raven, and I'm not going to start to lean into the, hey, a 5-1's actually possible for FNATIC, because we don't want to tell that storyline until we really start to see it. But Chiefs did throw a 6-0 lead against 7th Heaven on Oregon, so I'm not going to say there's a chance, but there's a chance. But let's keep our minds at the forefront of this game, of course. They've taken really great pen control. Picnic, unfortunately, not going to be able to secure the kill. But a Lusty who just rotates, that's a really nasty line.
That is cheeky. And the big thing about this is the Knights are going to think that he's rotated. He could sit and hold these, but Hayward getting that pick has made him reconsider. Oh my god, Dino's planting.
Hello? They can't deny it either. Hayward had incredible cover, my goodness. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What on earth? The Knights have just decided on a dime to go for the plant, and they deny FNATIC any retake positions. That is massive. A huge statement has been made here in the first half, Raven. It's 5-1. And we now swap Knights on defense.
It's not even just the statement that is made in terms of the scoreline. I think just that round. What a fantastic just read from the Knights. They knew that there was still this off-site presence. The opening was there and they pulled the trigger. That execute was just phenomenal from the Knights. And to have just ended the half on that note in particular, I feel like that is really big.
Unbelievable right now. Surely we could not be singing the praises of Knights in as little as 8 rounds. It is possible. It is actually possible that we may see Knights run away with this map 7-1. Again, just to refresh your minds, in APAC South and in APAC North, this statistically is a defender-sided map. FNATIC from North, Knights from South. And right now we are seeing Knights run away with their attacking half. They have set themselves up for unbelievable success. And for anyone who is just joining us, Knights are playing with a sub. Unfortunately, Juicy is unable to attend this match, and Picnic has stood up and stood into the role. And they are really causing and wreaking havoc all over FNATIC. But this is the opportunity for FNATIC to reset. We've seen this done before. And it can be done again. Oh my word.
Dino with a big opening pick onto Stiggs. That's just through the front lobby doorway. Speaking of adding salt to the wounds after the way they lost round number 6 and then to have that happen. Oh my gosh, the Knights are really barreling forward here. But look, let's not at all write off FNATIC. We just saw a very strong attack half from the Knights. Coastline can seriously be that way. And FNATIC are here for a reason. So I still do believe it's not out of the realm of possibility. But it is going to be tough in this position.
It certainly is. Could be very awkward for them to try and find a way back into this. Lusty at the moment. Are they set up here? I thought for a second, maybe if Mag sticks with Lusty, they may go for a quick little play into Hookah. And they still may just do that. Lusty's going to push him behind. Bari hasn't been spotted. That's the opening that FNATIC are looking for. They've got control of Billiards. A really nice response from Dino gives Knights the leg up in this one. And now they've got to try to go for this. Sage is being caught out. Mag, what can you do from the Hookah balcony? My goodness, this is the trade game. Josh and Haywood left to try and clean this up on the defense here. FNATIC unrelenting on the site. My god, how has this happened? It's now Mag to try and clutch up in a 1v2. How have Knights been able to pull that back?
Just incredible. The trades, that was top class. Like, I really have to say, that was incredible. The play from FNATIC was great, and they executed that so well. You had a player pinching down from VIP to Vase. You had the push deep from Lusty to Drinks. They were getting the picks, but just the reactivity from the Knights, incredible. 6-1 match point right now, Manic. This is unbelievable.
That was an absolute bloodbath in hookah and billiards. What I'm shocked about is the composure for Knights not to stress. Even though things were incredibly chaotic, Knights were still composed enough to not go peaking wildly, to not lose bodies where they didn't need to. And ultimately, it allowed Hayward to come back in and support that other player on site. This right now is a Knights that we have talked about for such a long time. The potential that they had as a roster. They started showing us that in APAC South. And now they're continuing it in playoffs. Arguably, the biggest moment of their careers right now is right here, right now, against FNATIC in the upper bracket final of the playoffs.
Boy, oh boy, this is a very different landscape to what I was expecting from map 1. But hey, look, let's try and ground this a little bit. This is the Knights map pick after all. We really don't have a lot of history of FNATIC recently, at least, on Coastline. So it could just be simply that it's a great map pick from the Knights to put 1 in the pocket. We'll have potentially a very different story on map 2, but map 2 will be map 2. Let's see how this one finishes out. But just want to equalize expectations here, at least that could be part of it. But long story short, FNATIC, they are on the ropes here on Coastline, Manic.
They are. The knockout punch could come in round 8 from Knights. It's a kitchen defense. Spread few and far between. We know how important that vertical control, that top floor control is for the Knights in the defense. And right now, FNATIC have once more put themselves in an opportunity. Got a lot more to do. Stiggs nearly falls to Sage, but gets away only just. And now FNATIC are going to look to put a little bit more pressure on this player in lobby.
Just more pressure in general coming from around that white stairs position. Sage still hard sticking lobby, but FNATIC, they get aggressive. Tex has found another pick onto Hayward. They're in a really good position. In fact, their best position they've been, but Stiggs again dies in almost exactly the same spot as the last round.
You have a feeling right now that if FNATIC aren't careful, a 5 versus 3 lead slips just like that. Take a deep breath, ladies and gentlemen, because Knights are here to play. FNATIC, like you said, Raven, they're really taking their last breath on Coastline here. Because Knights are still in such an advantageous position now. Oh, I love that from Tex. Through the dead body of Alfama. Gets the cheeky line, and now a 2 versus 3, but I like where Knights are positioned. Dino can't get anything done, and they're still playing aggressive. Sage, try you may. FNATIC have made that work. They make up for their previous blunder, and now, is this an opportunity for them to calm and compose?
Look, it is. I felt like the Knights wanting to try and end that early. They threw bodies at FNATIC, and FNATIC weathered that storm really well. They backed each other up and managed to close that round out. But look, it's a grim reality. They've got 4 perfect rounds that they need to be getting here to salvage map 1. They have to force overtime.
And it really, it isn't out of the possibilities, because I think a team like FNATIC with the star power they have, you look at Stiggs and Tex, who have been really consistent throughout stage 1. Lusty has been absolutely going off here in the playoffs in their previous 2 best of ones. Obviously, right now, it's a little bit hard to, when you are down 6-2, for it to show on that scoreboard. But at any point in time, this storyline could completely flick. When you're losing it, when you've lost a player like Juicy, there is a certain comfort that is taken away from you as Knights, and maybe this might be an opportunity for FNATIC, not necessarily to bring the map back, but to give them a little bit more, as we will be heading to Villa next. And like we say at all times, Raven, a best of 3 is a completely different kind of mentality that you need. regardless of whether you've had a bad game, a bad round,
Attackers are heading out.
you need to be able to recompose, settle yourselves, because we are on Knight's map pick after all. You referenced it before. It's a big factor here.
It is, and as my guy Xenox loves to say often, BO3s are a marathon, not a sprint. It's not just about the first map, it's about, you know, getting the majority of maps, 2 of them. So this is Knight's map pick. FNATIC will have an opportunity on theirs. They still have an opportunity here. Oh my lord, Sage. Oh, so close to making that work out. He still turns and flicks. Absolutely incredible fragging from the lobby doorway from Sage. 3 rounds in a row. Has he managed to find a pick here? This is just crazy.
Oh my goodness. Heads will roll. Round 9 giving us all sorts from Sage. And he's still not done. That is the worst part about it, Raven. 2 minutes. FNATIC almost have to throw a Hail Mary here and hope that they can find some trades, find some picks, because this is not looking good.
It's not looking good at all, but what is good for them at least, you know, something here is that there is still quite a bit of time on the clock, so they can still try and work a couple of picks to get back into the round. Still over 90 seconds to go. Getting some really good control here too through Penthouse VIP. Can start to put some vertical pressure and try and flush out these roamers. Now there is still one at 90. Stiggs hits the stun, but the player manages to slip away. He's up on the Vase Vault as well. They may not be expecting this, FNATIC.
Oh, I would love to see this work. Not very often we see this utilized, at least in a point of view on stream, so this will be quite gnarly if Haywood can even find one. Don't forget, no matter the vertical control FNATIC have, it's going to be hard to keep it. They've only got 3 players. Mag, though, finds a quick pick, and so do Tex. My goodness, talk about evening the odds. FNATIC now in with an opportunity to set this and continue their run on this comeback.
Very well played from FNATIC. Honestly, the patience and to not rush and try and capitalize on anything there. They waited, they droned, and then they pulled the trigger. It was really well done from them. Now they've got this 3v3 scenario. Time starting to be a big factor. 30 seconds. And they've got another down in security. This is a really good comeback on the round here for FNATIC.
Absolutely massive. One thing you have to highlight, their drone economy. They've still got 9 in the pocket, 6 on the board right now. Dino, he may just find this pick quite valiantly. It's a trade. And now Picnic, the sub. Could this be an unbelievable storyline for a player that is just stepping in for Knights when it counts? He's going to get pressed from both sides, and that will unfortunately be the pinch that FNATIC are looking for. An excellent round, an excellent comeback that have enabled them to go 1 round deeper on Coastline.
Yeah, look, I like the thought from Picnic there as well. Just shut out that kitchen entrance. Maybe not quite the best place for the smoke, babe, but at the end of the day, full credit to FNATIC there. They were 2 players down pretty early in the round there after a nutty play from Sage, and they held their composure. They did a really, honestly solid, tight job to bring that back, and they're getting some momentum now, FNATIC. 3 rounds is what's left for them to push this to OT.
And unfortunately, the biggest issue with that is they're going to have to go 5 rounds straight here on their attack. Now, it's not unheard of. We saw Knights go not 5 rounds straight, but they certainly went 5 rounds. And in doing so, have put themselves in the best possible position. I just want to talk about that round very quickly from FNATIC, because I highlighted it right toward the end of that round, was their drone economy. The first drone that they lost came in the last 30 seconds of the round. They had 7 drones in the field, unspotted by Knights, and you mentioned it, Raven. They were calm and composed enough to allow them to find that pick on, I believe it was Haywood, who had found himself on the Vase Vault. Now, in other occasions, let's say there are fewer drones, there are fewer opportunities to be able to do that because you need to look at flank watches, whatever it may be. Maybe they don't have the drone to spare there. Maybe they don't get that information. So the fact that FNATIC have, when it really counts, been able to just take it slow and be more methodical, it has really given them yet another lifeline in this. And I mean, drone economy, there we go. Knights have found 2 in the prep phase.
Yeah, look, that's a good point. And it's something that actually we're not seeing the Knights do a lot of is info denial. Not really running a lot of mute or Mozzie. In fact, they haven't brought either their entire defense half. So maybe that is an adaptation that could work out well for them. If FNATIC are just getting all this info on the drones and being able to capitalize on it, might be start to think about how they can affect that. But anyway, Knights are on match point. They only need to get one of these. They may be able to brute it with the way things are going right now. See what they can bring back on round number 10.
Thinking of round number 10, it was round 7 that we last saw Hookah attempted. Now, the highlighting factor is, yes, Knights won that round, but the really massive part about that was the fact that it was just an onslaught on site. And honestly, it could have actually gone either way. Mag was left in a 1v2. At one point, it was a 3v2 in favor of FNATIC. There was any possibility that that could have worked. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And right now, FNATIC are doing an incredible job at taking map control on that second floor really early on here. They are once more setting themselves up in the best possible place to be.
They really are. They've got some really good control here through VIP and now through luggage. It's going to put a lot of pressure in towards Billiard's site, which is looking to be where they're shaping up for this plant. Now, it's a lot of time for the Knights to have to deny here. They may even have to try and get a flank to actually get some penetration. This could be really big.
And I think that's exactly what they're doing in lobby right now. Who is that? Oh, Alfama. He's been given the information, but Haywood wins it out. That right there, that could be the linchpin for Knights winning the round. That is absolutely massive. But we've seen FNATIC on multiple occasions down on the player count. They're all in Aquarium right now. This push is going to come in. Haywood underneath. He has rotated into office. Mag's going to be pushed back once more. And FNATIC, they're in an awkward position, Raven.
Very awkward. But Tex, this could be big. If he finds this vertical presence that's being held, it may enable Mag to go through for this pick, or for the plant, I should say. Haywood, he's got to play this well. He sees the back, he misses it. That is Mag going in, but he's had to pull out because of these smokes. Really well played from Picnic. He's down, Manic. This is it.
Yeah, this is it. Dino being able to finish off Lusty now. Tex falls, and it's all onto Mag. You need to step up here, Mag. There's no time left, and there's no rounds left. Knights secure Coastline in an incredible 7-3 victory. They've put themselves up the map in the series in this upper bracket final.
Such a good effort. Now look, the map's finally over. We can start to talk about it. That is a really big statement from map 1. I know it's their map pick, and there's obviously a reason they've chosen it, but at the end of the day, you can't look past the facts. They've had to play with a sub of Picnic, omitting Juicy, who's a very strong player in his own right. Now look, Picnic did struggle. You look at the scoreboard, 3 and 7, not super good. He was playing some support roles, and maybe he is a fantastic communicator, but to be able to carry that through and deliver such a strong performance, I really feel like that's not to be discounted for the Knights.
The other storyline for me, Stiggs, a former teammate of Knights, going 5 and 10 after being such an impactful player for FNATIC, not only in the playoffs, but also their first season back, I should say, in APAC North. It is just absolutely insane, the fact that Knights have really brought that and kind of held it together, because that's the big thing, Raven, is holding it together on such short notice. You know, you were talking about Picnic's impact there. They've really done a phenomenal job.
They have, and I think that's what the story is going to be going into map 2, which is, of course, FNATIC's map pick. Can the Knights just maintain some consistency? That's what worries me. There is obviously a reason that Coastline was the map they went for. I feel like that was potentially because of the sub thing. You know, Coastline is a map you can play a bit looser on, and the Knights, you know, they love to do it sometimes. They can be a structured team, but they really can turn on some of this aggression and some of that looseness. I think especially when you got a sub, sometimes it's detrimental to try and lean into what you always do. Why not loosen it up a bit?
Well, I'll tell you what, we have some concerns here on the casting desk. We're going to let Dev and the analysts break it down and maybe have the answers that we're looking for. Boys, take it away.
Thanks, Rob. Wow. What a result out of that. Fairly dominant scoreline at the end of it, all things considered. Knights take their map pick incredibly dominantly. A 5-1 half on attack. And Guz, we came into this thinking, look, this is a pretty even match, even when Knights are at full strength. And they come out with their coach, and they still manage to have such a strong performance.
Yeah, that's exactly right. For the Knights to really have a serious shot in this series, Picnic needed to make a solid contribution to the team. And on the scoreboard, he went 3-1-7. You look at that, you probably think, he kind of botted out. But he was playing his role really well. He was playing predominantly the Jackal on the attack, gaining good intelligence for his team, and actually finding a couple of key picks in a few of those rounds. And then his role on the smoke, sure, it was limited in the fact that, the Knights didn't have to play too many defensive rounds, but his impact was also notable too. He used those smoke canisters really well. The last round was a perfect display of that, completely locking out the attack. And sure, he didn't have, again, massive stats on the scoreboard, but he still had a really good contribution. And if he can continue that form, then maybe this substitution won't be as much of an impact as we expected.
So, a bit of a surprising start to the game, Xenox?
Yes and no, in a way. I mean, I was umming and ahhing mostly because of Picnic coming into the roster and replacing Juicy, but I did feel like Coastline was going to be the map that Knights were going to be able to take if they were going to get anything. And so they've gone and done that. 7-3 scoreline, probably a little bit closer to the Knights side than I thought it would be, maybe 7-5 or even going all the way to OT. So that, in fairness, then says to me that I'm a little disappointed in FNATIC more than anything. Knights played well, to their credit, but FNATIC just, I don't know, it just didn't look like they really got out of second gear. It didn't really look like they were able to match Knights' intensity. A couple of key moments from players like Sage as well, really turning some of those rounds single-handedly. That just gets you a few of those extra wins. They add up over time. And look, what a very, very impressive attacking half from the Knights, considering in very recent times that Coastline has been showing that defense is starting to take shape a little bit more. They said no to that one and went straight through the FNATIC defense.
Yeah, for sure. A bit of a surprise from FNATIC, but the Knights, man, they are firing on all cylinders, and Sage in particular, what a lad to pull off those insane shots while IGLing as well. Map 2 is coming up very shortly. Can Knights get it done in 2 and take 3rd place overall in APAC? Will FNATIC come back? We'll see you in a few.
Yeah. Ow! Yeah. Y'all think too small, I got big dreams. You just starting, I'm way ahead at the end scenes. Started reading and dodging all of the quick schemes. Money like your Spotify, boy, I got 10 streams. And I'm still looking for more. My people, they got a soar, I'm putting that on the Lord. Ain't accepting, ignore, just kicking down all the doors. Guarantee you, boy, if I ask for it, it's gotta be real big. I gotta make it just for my kids and for their kids' kids. That's wealth years and years. Promise my brother soon as he out and finished his bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, job that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the grind on the cards is real big. I gotta do it big, the only way that I can live. And I promise I'm trying to. Before you count me out, homie, let me remind you. They was blocking the shine, now I think it's my time to. Counting them dollar signs like lights, they'll blind you. Let me rewind to back when I was broke and I couldn't acquire 2 cents. And now I got 2 rents. They was sleeping on me, homie, must have got too big. Call my phone, I be like, who this? Damn right, hell yeah, I'm brand new. Smell like can too. I'm fresh forever like canned food. Try and tell me what I can't do. I wanna see the world, my vision on Shamu. That mean I got goals that's real big, foes that's real big. Y'all offer too little, sorry, my soul is real big. Coming into the ring with blows that's real big. I gotta do it big, that's the only way I can live. I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. Gotta do it big, that's the only way to live. I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. Gotta do it big, that's the only way to live. Come on. Yeah, come on.
You are clearly an AP two-tone.
Yeah, they tryna at me, I'm running the race. I gotta pick up the pace. They throwing shade, but I'm gone. You gotta keep it a buck to my face. Taking that gang out of space. It's best if you stay in your place. They hating on all of my songs. I don't know what can I say. They throwing shots, but I'm saved by His grace. God is the shoot, I'm the lace. Running around got me stoned, man. Feels like I'm stuck in the maze. Shoot at the Oculus case. They sipping only 96. I can't do it on my own, yeah. They judging me off my mistakes. This flow is so heavenly. Most of my friends and a friend of me. They tryna bring out the beast.
Welcome back, guys, to the APAC playoffs. And, man, things are heating up here in our upper bracket final. FNATIC have lost the first map to the Knights, a convincing 7-3 on Knights' own map pick. Can they keep up their momentum for Villa? Now, guys, the big outlier that we were talking about is the fact that Knights are playing with their coach, Picnic. But we do have a bit of a change. For map number 2, Juicy is back in.
Yeah, they were playing with Picnic. Unfortunately, I guess they just didn't think his performance was good enough in that first map. But jokes aside, Juicy back in. That'll be the full 5-man core for the Knights in map 2. So if they don't finish it out in a two-way fashion, you'd have to expect that Picnic will be back in for that third map.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm with you on that one, mate. But well, let's talk about FNATIC for a moment now. Xenox, these guys have had such a shocking trek over the last year. And yeah, they've gotten to this point, upper bracket final. That was only 2 best-of-1s. And this is the first best-of-3 they've played since 6 Invitational last year. They just haven't played that many games all up. And now they're on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I know you've brought it up a few times throughout the weekend. FNATIC not really playing a whole lot of games really coming into this playoff run. And look, I would say this, regardless of what happens from here on out, just the fact that FNATIC are getting a few extra games under their belt, they're in a playoff environment, they're getting some best-of-3s, because at minimum, right, if they do lose this, then they will drop down to the lower bracket final. They'll get another best-of-3 there. So they're getting actually quite a lot out of this, even if they don't get 3rd or 4th. I think then they'll still be happy with this stage, getting those few extra games. Heading over to Villa, though, I have them slightly more favored, regardless of Juicy coming back in for Picnic. The last time they played Villa wasn't that long ago. It was in April. It was against Cyclops. They won that one 7-4. So I would have to say they've picked this map. They must feel comfortable. Knights haven't necessarily got the best experience on Villa. 2-4 over the last couple of months or so. They don't get a whole lot of wins on it. They don't really play it a whole lot. And it's a map we don't see even too much in South or OCN for that matter. So FNATIC, I think regardless of Juicy coming back in, I do back them to win this one and send it to a 3rd map.
All right, good to have confidence in FNATIC. Guz, do you think that Juicy's going to help fix any of the problems that we kind of didn't really see much of on Coastline, to be honest, from Knights? But is this going to be their way to close it out in 2 maps, or do you think we might see Cafe at the end of it?
Yeah, it's always difficult to assess whether or not Juicy coming back in is going to have a net positive or a net negative impact on the team. You would have to assume that on face value, the Knights will perform slightly better. That said, on Villa, their performances in the past haven't been amazing. Early this year, late last year, their record's 2-4, so it's not amazing. you would have to back FNATIC in. Despite the sample size being really, really small, surely they have been dedicating a lot of time in scrims and have thought out this best of 3 in a smart and efficient manner.
That's it. Well, Knights might have let the OCN championship slip from their hands, but they're looking to take this playoffs bracket. FNATIC, well, they have been down in the dumps. Their goal was 3rd and 4th. They've been scrimming 3 times a day, 7 days a week in boot camp for this moment. They can't let it go right now. Map 2, can FNATIC keep the dream alive?
That's the big question, and we head to Villa to answer that. I think this one, it could be in the books, Raven. I think Knights have shown us enough to convince us of that.
Yeah, look, I think at this stage it is definitely concerning for FNATIC, map pick or not, Villa or not. I think the form that the Knights displayed on Coastline is really formidable. But that being said, there is a big challenge ahead of them. As Gus said, not the greatest map for the Knights, but not terrible at it either, so certainly possible.
Still in with a chance here, the Knights are, but FNATIC are looking to equal the odds. 1 apiece is what they'll need to head to our 3rd and final map of Cafe. We get into this ban phase, and you just can't help but think that all the storylining has led to this for Knights, but equally so, FNATIC have just the same amount of claim. You know, they were underwhelming in 2020. Now they've made it into the playoffs and they're looking to push this all the way. This is their best opportunity to do so, to secure 3rd place in the playoffs overall. Whoever loses this, Raven, they'll be all the way down into the lower bracket where they could potentially even end up 5th.
Yeah, look, that's a good point too, because there's quite a bit of SI points. Now, I don't have the table up in front of me, but there's quite a bit of a gap between 3rd and 5th in terms of SI points. So to fall all the way to that position would definitely be upsetting for either of these teams. But to your point about FNATIC, you're right. They had a very underwhelming 2020. It was a very disappointing year for them. We've talked about that quite a bit. And I'm sure, like, of course, they want to get 3rd, but I feel like regardless, they should be really happy with where they've come so far in stage 1 of this year, and it's a really good prelude to what the rest of the year could be for them. But they've got an opportunity here to equalize the series. This is their map pick. Now, looking at these bans, Manic, I'm just seeing a heavy focus on making roam clear very tough. Getting that Lion and Jackal out of there is going to make it tough on the room clear, and particularly the Jackal, it's something we saw the Knights lean on a lot.
Wonder if that particular ban has come on the back of seeing the Lion Jackal. Could well have been lent into even heavier, as you're saying. Will make that a lot more difficult. And both of these teams utilize the roam game incredibly well on Coastline. Some to a little bit more degree of success, but at the end of the day, it was all the same. Now, the big thing, I think, here will mean that it enables that Valkyrie to come into play on the defensive side, Raven, and the Valkyrie can just change an entire dynamic of a game.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So much extra intel, and on a map like Villa, actually very crucial intel. So big pick for the Knights to be able to bring that in, and the fact that that's through the veto, not something we see a lot of. I do want to quickly bring up production, beautiful production, have pinged me with the table for the SI points. So to really paint this picture, 3rd place, 330 SI points. That's a lot of bickies, but 5th place, only 225. So it's 105 points difference. It's actually pretty significant, and come end of year, that really could be the difference between making SI or not.
Yep. I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine if we look back at stage 1 and that's the determining factor for either of these teams? As both of them, in their own respects, there's really no bigger goal. I mean, for any team, it doesn't really matter whether it's these two or not. There is no bigger objective in Siege than that yearly 6 invitational at the end of the season. And this would put both of them in the best possible placing to find that spot, secure it toward the end of this year, start of next year. And now, going to see FNATIC start to get to work, start to clear out this roam. Sure that Knights aren't looking to do anything too cheeky.
No, and in fact, like they've all bailed away from the north side of the map here. So this is great because it's making a lot of utility needs to be used and a lot of time. Half the round, in fact, for FNATIC to realize they've got that control. Able to move around, but there are still some Knights players on slight extension. Sage, in particular, in a very important position here, trying to hold 90.
Whether or not we'll look to hard hot. Oh my goodness, that I just do not like seeing defenders near windows. It really, I really hate it. I really hate it. But there we go. Sage will be backed away from 90. And look at this, FNATIC have just swarmed to 90, taking complete control right now. And through the drone hole, Lusty going to be lining up Juicy, the last player on Knights who really want going low with those smoke babes. And this is such great control from FNATIC.
Yeah, very textbook. This attack is taking the map control, pushing across, taking 90 control. Beautifully is Lusty getting the pick on Dino, but oh, the push up from Sage. Really good effort for him to retake. And now he's just in the window, Manic. Your bane.
My goodness. Giving me a heart attack here, Juicy. Not Juicy, sorry, Sage. Juicy has in fact fallen, so his first opening into this match is death. Staring right down 6 foot under the ground. Drone economy starting to lack here for FNATIC. Only 4 left. Hayward taking down Alfama. That's a big kill. And you can hear the time is ticking. It is against FNATIC right now. Josh and Sage both going to be holding the line into Aviator. This is near impossible to get into, but Mag gives them the opportunity now. Down goes the Veltcam. Hayward, Sage to clutch up here, and with Mag going down, that's got to be it. Surely Tex does not get away. The dirty deeds done for free by Sage.
Sage is just having a great series. Look at Coastline was really big for him, and he is up and firing on Villa. A triple on round 1, a Deeg kill at that in amongst the mix. This is a really good start from the Knights, but look, it was a good start from FNATIC as well. I want to go back how textbook and well executed the first half of that round was. A great job getting the map control, pushing through 90, opening vault. They got the opening picks, ticked all those boxes. But the Knights, again, weathered the storm and they fought back with a vengeance.
Honestly, that may just be the determining factor. Knights have just been able to honestly weather every storm that FNATIC has thrown at them in their defense. 5-1. Their attacking half was on Coastline. They came back. FNATIC looked like they were starting to claw back, but both rounds in Hookah, FNATIC threw bodies at Knights, and they were, in all honesty, they were not in the best positions to deal with it on the first occasion, and somehow they still made it work. Second occasion, they were a little bit more prepared, so you are definitely not going to fault how well Knights have been doing. But this, the thing that will, not the thing, the key factor here for me is FNATIC having a first half that they can be proud of, because 5-1 just doesn't give you room to move. It doesn't give you any kind of opportunity when you head to the second half to make mistakes, which it only takes 1 or 2 small little mistakes. Sometimes it can be as simple as missing a shot. So you don't want to be in that position.
We really don't. Now, this is aggressive from the Knights here. They've got a very big presence in Aviator games. And look, that's the side that it seems FNATIC may want to come through. Lusty and Mag, at least, are stacked over on this side. Sage also backing up at the top of main stairs. So this is really big presence off-site. Hayward coming through Library Living as well. Maybe Lusty away from a drone, but doesn't matter. Hayward just swings and gets that pick.
This is a very nice start, as Mag just not going to be able to capitalize on a rotating Knights. Unfortunately so, because just look at what they've been able to do now. They have the choice. Do they continue to have presence on this south side, which it looks like they will? Hayward's still at 90. Dino in Aviator. And Mag is the solo player here. As a solo player, you are in so much danger. of just being absolutely domed. No chance of a trade, but this is really cheeky. I don't know whether Knights are prepared for this. I believe it is Dino who is sitting in Aviator and Mag back against the wall. They're both as close as you could be. Oh my goodness, that's going to get the position away, Dino. Oh, what a play from Mag. Single-handedly dismissing that roam game from Knights.
Really well played from him, honestly. It's a really good job, and it's given FNATIC a great advantage right now. They've still got over a minute on the board. You can see it. They've got master control. Sticks has found another onto Juicy. This is going to be tough for the Knights.
Oh my goodness, Sage is just another level right now. Josh made himself known. Mag's now stuck in an awkward position. If the timing is right for Josh, which it is, he'll find the free kill. I love this rotate. C4 still in hand. Big question is right now, do they have information on the diffuser? Regardless, Tex doesn't waste any time looking to stick it around bricks, or at least trying to bait them out. You can hear all the pings coming through right now. Oh, Raven, 30 seconds. They can continue to play Ringa Ringa Rosie.
They can. And look, that's unfortunate for Tex. He's going to go over and finally clear that BPC. So that's the intel that the Knights had on his position. He's going to try and stick this plant. He's got a lot of time to be able to deny this. Big C4 coming out from Josh, though. Doesn't pull the trigger. It's just going to be shot by Tex. This is just a tussle here, Manic. He's trying to bait this out, but Josh playing it so patiently. He tries to get an engagement, but Tex, he's going to pull out the pistol and somehow wins the kill. No way.
What is that? Question marks in chat, because I am absolutely bamboozled by what I've seen. That C4 Raven was perfect. All he had to do was detonate it, but I love the intention of it. The C4 comes over, you hear the beeping, you get off your diffuser, you run away. But so well played. I cannot believe how that one is finished. Tex with the sidearm. After you saw the rotate out, the bullets go from the main clip, you thought that's it, done and dusted. Put it in the bin. Not to be. And Knights are going to be reattempting trophy here. Because that was... Man, that was a cluster.
It was. Look, that was pretty unfortunate because the Knights had done a great job to claw that back. FNATIC had a really solid opening phase there, just at the back of Mag, being able to get that double over on the other side. Really felt like Josh had that, Manic. I mean, there's so many questions I have from that. One was, why did he not blow the C4? I don't think it would have killed Tex, but imagine if he'd at least taken 50 HP off Tex to come to that engagement. I mean, this would have been so much more comfortable for him. He could have whiffed and still won.
Yep. Instead, he whiffs and loses. So, you know, 6 in 1, half a dozen. And I think that... I know that FNATIC will be very happy with that. You could see Mag in the chat just then with a cheeky little lol. And a sigh of relief may be what is needed. Because 2-0 up for Knights, especially when FNATIC had a firm advantage there, would have been devastating.
Very, very different approach right now, Manic. There's actually 4 players stacked up around Master. Stiggs over outside the Astro window. Looks like he's going to rotate, but maybe we're going to see a very quick, more direct push here from FNATIC. Mag in bathroom already. This is only 40 seconds. Incredible control already over on this east side. They're very stacked up. I don't know. This looks like it might be just a quick push, or maybe they're really just looking to capitalize, and that is what they do, Lusty, with the opening pick on Dino.
I mean, if their intel is serving them correct, they'll know that the roamers currently are off-site. Josh may be holding from a deep line, but Sage is nowhere to be found. And FNATIC have slowed it right back down. Really enjoying this, Raven. FNATIC are out here playing chess in this round, bit by bit, doing what they need to do, finding the opening pick on site, making sure that Josh doesn't have that free ability to sit in Aviator. And it doesn't actually look like they know what their final intentions are here.
Just stretching the legs. Well, after a very explosive first minute, we've hit a lull in the rounds. But still, some really good control from FNATIC. Mag just looking to cut that rotate back from the Knights players. And he's about to hit a pretty hefty engagement. That drone does spot Sage out. He's going to shoot and run. But this time delay is fantastic, and Lusty's capitalized on another pick. There's going to be a big push up Astro here. FNATIC look ready to go bang.
Yeah, that is the buddy system that we love to see so often. That's a lot of damage done by the Smoke Babe as Lusty now continues to push in side by side. Tex, they're going to swarm the site. Knights, they do not have a response for it. An excellent round from FNATIC. And dangerous signs here if you are a Knights fan.
Absolutely, and conversely, if you're a FNATIC fan, boy, you love to see that. That was confident, and I love the directness of it. On top of the fact they really controlled the pace. They started so explosive. That first minute, you saw all 5 stacked up around Master. And then Lusty, with the great entry onto Dino, they took what was needed to get the wall open, and then they chilled out. They didn't try and overextend. They didn't try and rush through with momentum. They held back, they took their time, and it was just beautiful.
Some would say clinical. Okay, here we go. Little adaptation. Really surprised to see that it's Sage on the Clash. Obviously, the Clash can just be so awkward to deal with on an attacking perspective. But you are taking a gun out of the hands of Sage. I mean, I say you are taking a gun. You're not necessarily, but you're definitely not letting Sage flourish in the way that we've seen so far. The first 2 rounds were unbelievable from him. Obviously not really having a look into that last round. But Knights have definitely got something cooked up here on Villa. So just keep an eye on what they're trying to achieve, because that Clash makes me nervous for FNATIC.
Certainly could be tough, on top of the fact that they don't really have a lot of operators in their attack lineup to deal with that Clash. It's going to make it tough to flush out, tough to push back. So really, I think that's going to be on how Sage plays it. If he plays it cautious enough and his teammates back him up, because I mean, that's the real best way to counter Clash, right, is to double team a Clash player to be able to try and get that pick. But I think you're right, Manic. This Clash could be really influential for this round.
Oh, talking about needing the buddy system, Juicy is going to be going hand in hand with Sage, at least for the first little opening 30 seconds of the round. Eventually they back away from each other, but there still remains. This is going to make any kind of play toward main stairs extremely awkward. 1 nade left onto Stigs. And maybe looking more at how they're going to approach it from a different angle, as now FNATIC look to potentially leave the entirety of main stairs for Knights and go for a north clear.
Looks like it. Josh, though, he's in a pretty precarious position over at the statue doorway. Not sure if he's been droned out yet or not, but this was something that the Knights did not have in that opening round, which they did end up winning anyway. But they didn't really have some aggressive presence. There's also a Knights player staying at the bottom of Astro stairs. Now, FNATIC have certainly seen something. Look at this train. They're just centipeding all the way over to the south side of the map. So adaptive.
Kind of got the Dwarves vibe from Snow White. You know, the I-ho, it's off to work we go. Well,
Yes.
FNATIC, they've certainly shown us so far that when they appear, they do so in a very dangerous manner. Sage just going to be sticking back a little bit longer. Love this pinch. My goodness. And look at this. On the edge. Is Matt going to be able to catch him from the window? I don't think he will be able to. No. But that certainly has given them all of study and all of main stairs control. Raven, that's incredible.
It is, but look at the time. 45 seconds. Sage did a really good job to just deal with that and back away. And the fact he's still alive, very critical, Manic. But you're right, FNATIC, they have some good control. They're starting to get set up for this execute, but importantly, look at the Knights. 5 players up, full HP. They should be able to deal with this execute. This should be tough for FNATIC.
It's about to be a dogfight on site. FNATIC circling their prey. They have to hit their shots here because this is what it's going to come down to. Pure raw contact. Dino and Juicy with both the openings here. It's an onslaught for Knights. FNATIC with absolutely no response. Mag is given nothing in this round. An extremely convincing round from Knights and a powerful statement to be made here in round 4.
That was unreal. Honestly, I knew it was going to be tough for FNATIC in that execute, but the Knights, man, talk about just eating up from the positioning and on site, just totally annihilated that push from FNATIC. And this is a really big half from the Knights. If they can stay toe-to-toe with FNATIC throughout this map, they will continue to give themselves this opportunity to take it. And it's important to remind you, this is FNATIC's map pick, and most recently, the most recent history we have for this, FNATIC 7-4'd Cyclops on this in the regular season of APAC North stage. So they really are proficient on this map, and if the Knights can, again, keep in check, I think that it's just a big deal.
Now, big question will be, what are Knights like this dining kitchen defense? Because this is a site that we have not seen yet. We've seen 2 attempts in Aviator games, and we've seen 2 attempts in the trophy stat in which FNATIC managed to somehow win a clutch 1v1. Extremely awkward. Tex came out the victor in that one, but more so looking to the second round where FNATIC just, my goodness, literally just ripped them apart as if they were nothing but a car. And will it be the same for this kitchen defense? Like I said, haven't seen enough from Knights to know what their hold is going to be like. But it's definitely with a very heavy presence on that top floor, which you just can't afford not to.
Yeah, you really do need to hold this top floor for, I'd say, at least 2 minutes. If you can hold this for 2 minutes, it's really job well done. Obviously, conversely, if you're an attacker team and you can take that top floor within 2 minutes, 90 seconds even, that's also really good. So I think that's where the battle is going to be fought here. Now, there is the Valkyrie on the board, of course, so a lot of info to be gained and a lot of info denial to be had from the Knights as well with that new Mozzie combo. So that will also assist in that delay of taking this control, but FNATIC doing a great job of it so far.
Really, it's what happens when, you know, the Thatcher's left in. We see the Lion and Jackal ban to facilitate the roams that we're seeing from Knights, but unfortunately what that also means is the clears with utility are going to be incredibly easy. And just like that, Knights have somewhat been forced to wait. Now Sage is still extended across the southern side of the map on the first floor, but it looks like he will slowly but surely regroup with his team. FNATIC's still yet to really enter the building and take that top floor control, but bit by bit, Tex will now start to combine with Lusty to ensure that they have free access.
Yeah, but something big has happened. Stiggs, he repelled into Pantry. It was pretty early, but he's just been sitting there very patient this whole time. Now, this could be a real big opener for FNATIC if he manages to find a pick on site. But importantly, here it is. They have this full vertical control, giving themselves a minute to do something with it.
Of course, that C4 game is going to come into factor as well. Still 2 left in the pocket after 2 have already been used. And 40 seconds. FNATIC done enough here, Raven. It feels like they've stalled out a little bit now.
They have, but yeah, look, good positioning here. Good take onto Dino. At least he found one and traded it, but Stiggs, again, this positioning in Pantry, absolutely incredible. Now, FNATIC are in, our farmer planting, Stiggs to cover. No. He misses the rotating player in smoke. Oh, this is huge.
Oh my goodness, Juicy undetected, whips out the dig. See you later, Stiggs. 15 seconds left. What an incredible play from Juicy coming back after he'd been subbed for the first map. This is unreal. Tex and Mag scrambling to find something. Juicy will find his 3rd for the round, and Tex, well, that's an effort and a half, but what A heroic play from Juicy.
That was nuts from Juicy, but look, as nuts as that play was, and fantastic capitalization on a mistake of FNATIC. Sticks just pushing too deep to cover China door, not anticipating that a player would rotate through the smoke. Now, this is always the danger when you smoke off a rotation, is you can't effectively cover it. I mean, if they didn't smoke that off, total theorycraft thing here, but let's say they didn't smoke it off, they had the line of sight through pantry. Stiggs maybe could have played the pantry stairs. He could have covered the double door and the China door rotate. But it's just small things like this that sometimes culminate in how rounds can swing dramatically, because without a doubt, man, in my mind, FNATIC had that round once that plant went down. Just big from Juicy to capitalize on that.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? It's only a visual thing for those smokes, and I mean, from way back in my day, I'm sure many, not really, it's not way back in my day, but a certain Stewie 2K, the smoke criminal, coming out in the form of Juicy and R6 here, really does, you know, highlight what I've kind of really loved about this new meta, Raven, is we are seeing utility used a lot more, and it feels like, you know, these smoke plays that we're seeing, sometimes they pay off, but it's certainly making things a little bit more interesting. Hayward, come on, there we go, eventually gets it. But essentially, the smoke is only a visual cue. It's not a wall. It doesn't stop anyone from making any plays, you know, so it's very dangerous. And it, more often than not, like you said, if you make the wrong decision, it's a double-edged sword, and it can really slice through your armor if you're not careful.
I feel like this is a really big round here, Manic. If the Knights manage to take a 4-2 half against what felt like such a good opening from FNATIC, could really set a dark tone here for FNATIC on the series, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So here's the last round for this half at least before we see Knights go to the attack. And again, look at how spread out they are. This roam from Hayward and Sage has been pretty effective. It has definitely taken a lot of resources from FNATIC in recent rounds. Lusty Mag with the quick entry as well, looking to potentially contest, but this is the vertical presence they want to be able to have at least from the kitchen dining area.
Free to go to town on the flooring above, so using that utility will be all but too easy. Stiggs with no drones, but of course the Gemini will essentially act as a live drone for the remainder of FNATIC. That occasion, as per usual, seeing that foothold, a murder hole from the bedroom window all the way through to the trophy rotate. That will certainly play dividends, ensuring that Knights don't have the comfortability of moving around freely on site.
This could be really big from Hayward, though. He's just stayed super patient in this position. He may be able to pounce on some of these players that are trying to get this vertical for FNATIC. Mag in particular, in Memorial, he's a bit of a sitting duck right now. Just depends if there's a drone watching it or a player watching it at the end of the day. 2 minutes gone, Manic. FNATIC have put some pretty good pressure onto site, but there are still 5 Knights players up.
Oh, Dino about to come face to face. And he'll rip the head off of Stiggs, continue to push in, and Alfama not expecting it whatsoever. We've seen this all too often. Knights storm away with a 4th round on the defense, Raven. Dire straits here for FNATIC as they are already down the map in the series.
It is. Now, look, I was saying if the Knights manage to get a 4-2 half, that could be pretty big, but what I wasn't really anticipating is, again, that would be a flawless round. I think the statement that makes is just incredible. I feel like the Knights are continuing to settle into some good form. It felt like maybe at the start of the map that just settling back into having Juicy in instead of Picnic had this very small little adjustment period, but he started to play really well. The Knights have started to play really well, and this could be the 3rd place half that they're looking for to close out the series.
Didn't really expect that was going to be what we were saying here on Villa. Now, having said that, in comes what I call my favorite segment, devil's advocate. If it was hard for FNATIC to maintain the roam game from Knights, guess what? It's the same storyline here. If FNATIC lean into that heavier roam style, it's going to be so hard for Knights to deal with. No Lion, no Jackal. You are going to need to drone phenomenally in the prep phase, and certainly in the phase 1, phase 2 of the round, which is, you know, for anyone who doesn't really know what I mean, but by that is, you know, the first 2 opening minutes, essentially. And right now we are seeing a farmer on the mute. Now, whether that is for wall denial, which you would assume is a key factor there, they'll still have the opportunity to use at least 1, maybe 2 off of site, which we're going to see where they're going now. It looks like it's a little bit closer to home. So FNATIC maybe not leaning into as heavy of a roam play as what we saw from Knights, at least not in round 1.
No, but that being said, Tex is on a bit of a journey on the other side to early contest here. And I think that's important. When you don't have the Jackal, Lion, you know, those operators that are there to help with a roam clear, you want to have early presence because it means that the Knights, for example, are going to have to use a lot of drones to try and figure this out. And that's what's happening. Tex has been able to shoot some drones, pull back. He's not overextending, which is a really good job from him. And this is just going to come down to what do the Knights decide to do here. They've already taken some really solid control on the north side. And not really delaying, which is great.
That's the thing, if Knights can continue to peak with this confidence, they'll really set themselves up for a lot of success. And here comes the first. Oh, I don't mind that from Stiggs, okay? That looks like a bit of an obscure C4 to be throwing out, but the second he hears that magnet go off, the audio cue initiates that C4. Unfortunately, Knights had pulled back from the angle. It was Sage, in fact, that was there. And Knights just slowly but surely burning through their utility as well. So it's tit for tat at the moment.
It is, and this is where it's really stalled out. They want to try and get this Knight control, but they're really hesitant about something. I think what's really important here is this player on red, it is Tex. If they don't manage to get the clear onto Tex, this is going to go significantly downhill for the Knights. And there it is. Josh has been the first one downed in this engagement. That's downstairs. Still a minute to go, but the Knights have really gotten stuck in this position.
They certainly have, and the longer they sit here, the longer it remains to be an issue. Juicy going down as well. How many lines of sight were they able to open into the middle? Once again, Sage is the player to respond for Knights. Okay, massive thing right now. Knights only have 2 drones on the board, only one of which can be moved, and that's on Haywood. Oh, see you later, plus. Oh, that's gnarly.
Wow. That was incredible, but here we are. Knights are in. They're going for this execute manic. They've had the clearance. There's players on the other side of Vault, but it's going to have to be covered by Dino.
Dino, can't play the big effect that he was hoping for. Alfama with a massive retake of the site. Haywood still in this with a chance. Don't count him out just yet. Both players in Vault. If he plays this right, he may just be able to find at least one of the picks. He hits the first shot on the mag. No information. That's so unfortunate. But it's exactly what FNATIC needed to get back into this round. A massive play from Alfama to make that work.
Yeah, look, that was a really big play. You're right there, Manic. But at the end of the day, the Knights did a good job bringing that back. There was really, that stall point was what cost them there, I'd say. I'm not sure exactly what stalled them out. I think they were probably trying to drone that downstairs position, and we did see a player get downed in an early engagement or a mid-round engagement. At the end of the day, that's a really important round for FNATIC. They've clawed one back. They're closing this gap. They're only one round behind the Knights. They do get to bring this to 4-4. They really are back in this.
The door has been left slightly ajar for FNATIC here. If they lose that round, 5-2 just seems like not a near impossible task by any means, but a steep hill to climb. In APAC North, it's a 58% defensive map. And then, I mean, when you have a look at APAC South, it's 55%. So, you know, this is certainly favoring the defensive half. Whether it's 3 rounds or 4 rounds is the big difference here.
10 seconds left.
FNATIC, they really need to give themselves this room. They need to be able to get this early lead and ensure that they can equal things out here. And they will attempt to do so in Trophy.
All right, time to see what FNATIC's got for stat trophy. And now, just to talk about, oh my lord. Oh, the pre-fire and timing, that's going to haunt Stigs for a little while. What I was going to say is just to talk about the bans again. You know, not having those operators such as Lion and Jackal to assist on the roam clear probably does make you think as attackers that you would lean more towards pushing direct, or just makes you a little more hesitant to gain map control because you really only have your drones as a tool in that instance. Of course, you could bring Dockerby, but not the most ideal scenario. But speaking of not ideal scenarios, FNATIC really on the back foot right now. Mag just got pretty heavy tagged up. They've already lost this opening pick, only 1 minute in.
And now it just really does give Knights a bit more to work with. Tex going down to 20 HP. Not the greatest start. Once more, look at the drone economy. Knights withering away. Still with 5 drones up, though. Thought it was going to continue in that trend, but now they're taking peaks over just the simplicity of droning and finding these picks on site. A team that can certainly do so as well.
Really good control here from the Knights. 2 players low on FNATIC. They have site pretty well surrounded. Now, there is a player still sitting Astro Stairs for FNATIC. This could be really influential. This is where the Knights don't really have a lot of progress. Now, they potentially have an air jab for that flank. And speaking of air jabs, Hayward, the Nomad player, has been hot in this round for the Knights. He's found another pick as Juicy pushes through. Starts to plant to bait, and the Knights are just all over FNATIC on this one.
Yeah, no chance for FNATIC. Surely that's locked in the books, Tex. With no HP to his name. See you later. Now, Raven, I'm seeing that in our green room for the casters as well. Apparently, Hayward on the upside down skylight rappel. Not something you see every day. Bit of a Spider-Man.
Bit of a Spider-Man move. And look, it's funny because that sounds like it's such a risky or dumb play, however you want to categorize it. But when you're playing, especially competitive, those plays, they will work on the rare occasions because as a pro player, you get into patterns. You don't think about checking for that kind of stuff. There was a lot of chaos happening there. I do not blame anybody on site for not being able to hear that the grapple hook was deployed and he was coming down because, yeah, it was noisy. Just incredible from Hayward to pull that out because it's incredibly risky. But look at that, risk reward. The Knights claw closer to this series point.
Well, I think it's a much more calculated risk when you have the opportunity to. You know, when you have the advantage in the man count, when things are a little bit chaotic, it is much more of a calculated risk, a calculated opportunity as well. And it's used to absolute perfection. And FNATIC, they are not looking to mess around, not sticking to that trophy site. They're going to move straight down into Kitchen here. And, I mean, it does always feel like Kitchen is that third and final side of the rotation that sees such varied success, but, you know, we'll just stick to the APAC North stats. It definitely does favor the defensive side quite heavily, 60%. So there is more than enough fuel in this for FNATIC to continue to keep the Knights at arm's reach.
Yeah, really important for FNATIC to get this round back because, yeah, they want to keep the deficit low, but really importantly, Knights win this round, they're on match point. They are on series point. So this is starting to get a bit scary for FNATIC. But what's important here is they haven't lost that player early, unlike the last round. Really was going to make it tough for them to always be able to fight back. But what can the Knights do to step it up here?
It's a very interesting talking point when we look at the Knights and we think about what we were saying in Map 1 on Coastline, the fact that the reason they're such a dangerous team is because there is not one player that stands out individually amongst a team of incredible players. They have all come into action, come into the fray at their own point in time in this matchup. Josh, although was a little bit quiet here, was incredible on Coastline, 8-4. And now it's Haywood that's stepping up, going 9-2. On the flip side, though, expected maybe Tex and Stigs to be a little bit more in this game. And this is the opportunity to do so. The defensive side start to deny Knights a bit more of this game.
Just to quickly touch on this as well, FNATIC, the disparity in survival rates is incredible. FNATIC, their best survival player or rate is like 6 deaths, but if you look at the Knights, they got Sage only 3 deaths in 8 rounds, Haywood 2 deaths in 8 rounds. That's pretty incredible. The rest on 5, really showing the effectiveness of them, but the effectiveness of Juicy has been taken away by Magnet on this round. A minute to go, it's starting to fade away from the Knights in this one.
And I'm going to say it again, I feel like I've been harping on about this with Knights for pretty much the entire season. Their drone economy dwindling away. Only 3 drones at the minute 20 mark. It's so little to play off, especially on a game that relies on such great intel. Haywood forced to try and find an opening into China and can't do so. This now becomes incredibly awkward. Alfama with the Yokai gets away. And scot-free at that. Now it is on to the remaining 2 player of Knights. That'll be the swing from Tex. And it's game on with both Sage and Dino looking to play for pure contact. There's 1 player down in basement. If they can find these Yokais, they're going to be in serious trouble. In comes Sage. He's just found both Hazir, at least one of them. What can Lusty get done? Alfama. Oh, I'm having flashbacks. No, not like this. Knights on the cusp of match point. Alfama with a retake in a 1 versus 2. With such little time remaining, it does not look achievable, Raven.
And just such great positioning from the Knights. Look at this in the outlines. They should be able to cover this from above. Surely Sage gets it. He does. They move to match point, series point, FNATIC, off the back of nothing short of an incredible 2v4 clutch, I think that was.
It was as well. Oh my word. Sage has been lighting up the server with no chance of slowing down. This is unbelievable from the Knights. They are on the verge of 2-0ing FNATIC in the upper bracket final to secure 3rd place. And they're doing so in style. This is, of course, Raven, a FNATIC tactical timeout.
So it needs to be, honestly. This is where it gets scary. We've talked about it quite a bit. Knights getting to match point now. Does mean FNATIC, they got to get 3 in a row. And that's not something they have done in this map. That's not something they did on Coastline either. 3 rounds in a row has not been in FNATIC's vocabulary today. So really going to be tough. Good call for the tack timeout. Start thinking things through, but the Knights, they are really poised right now to take 3rd place of APAC in stage 1.
We head back to AVG to potentially decide FNATIC's fate. And just to cast your minds back to that round, it was a 3v3 with about 30 seconds remaining. Knights went in for a safe vault plant. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold the line. Alfama came in with a huge 2K on the smoke. And now they will not want it to come down to the wire like that again. This is a game of inches, pixels, and milliseconds, Raven. And right now, Knights may well have just run the upper bracket gauntlet.
They may well just have FNATIC, but it's been incredible thus far. And speaking of incredible, I've got to say, for me at the moment, of course, not over, not counting the chickens before they hatch, but Sage has probably been MVP for me. He had a great Coastline. He's going 12-3 on Villa. That's across 9 rounds. Actually incredible, but there's still some siege to play. FNATIC is still in this game. They are on Villa defense. Their map pick, they've only got 3 rounds to find. They've already got 3 on the scoreboard. Can they do it?
Poor Hayward. That may be one of the first occasions we've seen him lose an opening duel, although it would feel he has been a highlighted player in this matchup as well. And in come the flashes. Stig's not really tested on the back of it either. And we'll be able to see all of this FNATIC and hopefully get an early read the positioning of Knights.
Just a little thing, but really great air jab from Hayward. He's pushed Stigs back towards classical hallway and air jabs that archway so that Stigs can't retake it. Really will help them to be able to get this control because there's not going to be a swing happening from that direction. They just have to deal with techs, and that's going to give them all of the control they will want from this north side. That being said, they do have to be careful of Lusty. He's down below. He could play an aggressive vertical position. This is where it gets very important. If the Knights come out on top in these engagements, they're going to be sitting pretty to take the map.
And once again, this is where it stalled out, Raven. This is exactly where we saw Knights halter and falter in their last attempt on AVG. Dino at the moment surely just needs to be cautious. No more breaching rounds left, and in fact, Sage only has one more opportunity. There we go. That's what we needed to see it used for. It takes down the shield that Mag was playing behind, and it frees up a lot more room for Knights to play now.
Sorry, I can't help but giggle at watching Mag and Dino just jiggle pick each other, but some trades come out and Knights come on top. But FNATIC, they also step up. In fact, Stig's found a double. That makes it a 3v2. Still 45 seconds on the board. Dino and Hayward still alive. 2 in-form players have been able to clutch it up before, but FNATIC have some really good positioning. And importantly, our farmer's still alive here in Vault.
With all 3 smokes up, Hayward goes down. Dino attempting to trade. There's no time left. Dino needs to go now. Starts to inch a little bit closer to the study door. Finds the kill on the Stigs. That was a really nice read. He has to go through the gates. And now all the positioning should be known. Lusty will win it out and continue FNATIC's opportunity in this best of 3. They're not done just yet. We go 6-4. But like you said, they're going to have to run 3 clean sites, Raven.
And that's not to say it's not doable. I certainly think if FNATIC can tidy things up, they really can get these next 2 rounds. But to go back to it, they have yet to string more than 2 rounds in a row in this entire series. So they're going to have to be doing something that they haven't been able to achieve just yet. And the Knights, they still look pretty good, honestly. They just didn't lose the trade war in that midsection of the map. Really could have gone in a different direction. Credit to FNATIC for standing up. Trophy stat. They've got to make something happen here. It's their first attempt at this, in fact.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
That's an interesting one to say the very least, that with FNATIC on a really, really great positioning right now, they just need to convert the next 2 rounds. Now, again, you just need to remember how close it has actually been. Because when we look to the kitchen site, it was a 4 versus 2 in favor of FNATIC. So really, if we look at the history, let's take away the unbelievable play that Sage made in that 2 versus 4, and let's just hone right now in on trophy and stat. If they can take this, they are actually statistically in a really great spot to make this happen. And As one of the godfathers of ANZ Siege once said, it's 95% mental.
Oh, I love that has been referenced so much this weekend. Definitely can't argue with the fact that the balance is certainly on the mental side, but got a big 2 rounds potentially ahead of us, potentially ahead of FNATIC right now. This is a very aggressive hold in the bathroom from Stigs here. They really are throwing everything they can to claw this one back. Such a utility dump, and Josh with a perfectly cooked grenade. That's going to take out Stigs, and that is a solid start for the Knights.
It certainly is. Stigs has just not had the impact we had really hoped for him in this series.
Bomb located by
But
attacker.
nor have FNATIC. The entire roster right now are going to have to come together. Stigs is going to need to do the best possible job as he is subbed for this round in supporting FNATIC. Giving them intel, giving them some kind of hope, because hope is what they are needing right now in a 5 versus 4, Raven.
Again, still doable. We got some big players on the board. Lusty, though, missing that C4. In fact, Lusty has been missing a little bit in this series. Hasn't really hit some of the big plays that we've seen from him before, but you know it can come at any moment. The Knights, that's a risky breach place with the Dino wants to do. Oh my lord, the clench from this guy. But Josh, Juicy combined. This could be it, Manic.
Oh, it is. It's all onto Alfama. 1v5. They can't do it. The Knights, they run the upper bracket gauntlet in the APAC playoffs, and they have secured 3rd place overall. A phenomenal, flawless sweep from the Australian roster.
Phenomenal indeed, and that was just, the whole series was incredible from the Knights. They stepped up. They had adversity coming into this. They played with their coach for the first map. They secured that one in strong fashion, and then coming onto FNATIC's map pick with Juicy back on the board. Incredible. Now, I'm going to highlight it straight up. Sage, he had a fantastic series. The man IGLing. He had some insane stats. I think he ended up on 22-10 for the series in the end, a 2.1 KD. That is just nuts.
It's unbelievable. I think that, you know, we've talked about Sage since he entered the roster back in 2020, and so many umming and ahhing about what his potential was really going to be. And I think, like the Knights, he is starting an incredible trajectory. There's no way that they have peaked here. There is no way that there is any holding them down, because technically right now they are one of the best teams in the entirety of APAC. It's not just OCN anymore. It's not just APAC South. This is the APAC playoffs, and they have proven themselves here and when it mattered.
That they did. It's just it's a great feat for them to have taken it. And now look, let's bring it back to a bit more of a holistic view. I'm sure the desk is going to talk about it. That's APAC South prevailing in this one of a couple of matchups here in terms of whether North versus South who's better. In this instance, it was South. They're going to take that 3rd place. We will still get to see who's going to take 1st/2nd between C9 and Elevate that is coming up next. But yeah, we've just wrapped up Knights versus Elevate, and we always felt this was going to be close. But in the end, a 2-0 to Knights was probably a bit of a shock result. And honestly, both maps, pretty strong results. I think 7-3, 7-4, right? So, really good job from Knights.
You know what? You've tied a perfect little ribbon on that for us to finish up, Raven. We're going to throw it back to Dev and the analysts to break down what was an incredible victory from the Knights.
Thanks, guys. Fantastic cast, by the way. And what a game from the Knights. 7-3, 7-4. A nice 2-0, even with their coach subbing in on the first map. 3 flawless rounds, and they look just unstoppable. What a win here for the Knights, for APAC South, of course. And they do take 3rd place overall in APAC this season. Xenox, well, I'm surprised. I think you're surprised. I think we're all a bit surprised.
Maybe the result, the numbers, 7-3, 7-4, with the first map being with their coach standing in. Sure, absolutely did not see that coming. I said in the pre-show, I would have given this 2-1 Knights. Had Juicy been in from the start, they didn't even need him for Coastline, and then they've gone and taken FNATIC's map pick on Villa. I mean, a completely outstanding performance from the Knights, and on a basis, it was a very good team performance. Everyone had some good moments. Sage was nuts. Sage as a player has just been incredible to watch over the last few months, both APAC South, OCN, and now here in the APAC playoffs. Hayward had some good shots as well. Overall, Knights were just fantastic, and they made FNATIC look second rate.
Yeah, honestly astonishing performance from the Knights. We're going to have a chat to the man himself, Dino, in the server. Look at that grin on your face. My friend, you won the Oceanic Championship at the start of this year, and now you have come first place through the APAC playoffs and taken third overall for Stage 1. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm so happy. Look, all I know, South APAC's better than North. All right, that's it.
You said it, not me.
No. FNATIC are a really good team. I just think after we won with Picnic on our side, Picky is crazy, but with a coach, it's not going to be like the full team. After we took that 7-3, I think it was, after a 7-1 lead, we were so confident in taking the 2 matches back to back. We just played so well. We just comms were perfect. Our executes were really good. We had some issues mid-round, but we fixed them. Overall, I'm so happy with the team. And our hard work's paid off.
Dino, firstly, congratulations. You know, third place locked in, a good amount of SI points, some extra cash, etc. And while it's all good news for Stage 1, obviously the sights for Stage 2 is now going to be first spot in APAC as a whole, and to do that you're going to obviously have to maybe get that extra win in the regular season. But overall, where do you guys rank yourselves now as a team? Because you don't really get to go and face Cloud9, you lost to Elevate. Do you consider yourself all right with third right now, or from the internal perspective, do you think you can actually get that top spot?
Of course. I think with time, we've never versed teams like Cloud9, like Elevate. And we lost to Elevate on Oregon. We went back and we fixed the mistakes. We've never versed teams like this before, so it was just experience. But now that we versed them, we know how they play, what they're going to do. Hopefully next time we verse them, we should take the win. Overall, I put Knights right now as third, but I think in the next coming up weeks to months, I think we're first, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Dino. Obviously, in Stage 2, if you manage to finish first in the regular season, you book your ticket straight into that major, which is really, really important. What are you going to be doing over the next few weeks to try and better yourself and put yourself in that position to try and finish first in South?
So now that we've versed them, we know what we're trying to verse and what we're expecting. So now we're just going to go, we're going to watch every single VOD back, and we're going to try to see what works, what doesn't work. If in the off break, we're going to try to scrim teams like them, and just try to prep for them. Lately we've been streaming and just focusing on ourselves, and I think that's helped heaps. So we're just going to keep working on ourselves, and over time we're just going to keep improving.
Absolutely. We've already seen that from you guys. In a year's time, you have made such a dramatic difference to where you were in Pro League a year ago, and it has been fantastic to witness these steps in your journey. I'm going to give you the mic, Dino. Whatever you want to say, whoever you wanted to say it to, the floor is yours.
I want to say thank you to Picnic. Out of short notice, he came and he played today, and he did such a wonderful job. I also want to say thank you to Kata and Sketchy, our manager and coach, our manager and analyst. And I also want to thank every single one of the boys on the team today. All of them put so much hard work in the background, and they just dedicate their life to Siege. And I also want to thank the fans, the casters, and our Pittsburgh Knights, of course.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Go and enjoy your victory, and hopefully we'll see you in the coming season.
Thank you very much.
What a lad. I was not expecting him to just come straight out of the gate and say APAC South better than APAC North, but his words, not mine. Boys, what a journey for the Knights. Honestly, it has just been such a travel through this bracket that we've seen them come through. Of course, their opening game against Mercenaries was tight, then they took down Guts convincingly, and finally this best of 3 over FNATIC.
Yeah, look, one thing I want to say, first and foremost, Dev, the top 3. At minimum, 2 teams will be from APAC South now, regardless of what happens in the Stage Championship match. Make of that as you will. It does mean, of course, if we want to go to a sort of a top 4 from both South and North, that we're going to have 2 from South, 2 from North. So maybe we won't get total answers until the end of this Stage Championship match coming up later. But ultimately, of course, congratulations tonight. Down the bottom though, FNATIC, they're not done for the day. Later on today, they will play Cyclops to see who can get the 4th place positioning.
Yes, we have that game and, of course, the Stage Champion match. But, guys, I do want to ask you, now that we've seen Knights defeat FNATIC, which R6 share run skin are you going to be running on the G36? The FNATIC skin or the Knights skin?
Yeah, look, I've been running the Knights one at the moment. I'm pretty sure I've bought the FNATIC one as well. They're both really cool. Maybe if FNATIC can win their next matchup later this afternoon, I might give it a crack. But you know, we've got to show the South bias and flex that Knights skin. It's pretty damn good looking.
Sure. Well, FNATIC do have another chance here to take 4th overall in APAC. They will have to take down their rivals from APAC North in Cyclops. That's our final match of the today. But between now and then, we have the big one. We're going to crown the APAC champion for Stage 1. Is it going to be Cloud9 from Korea, or will it be Elevate from Thailand? I can't wait to get stuck into it, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.